Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. This is the day after Christmas, December 26th. Basketball has started, and I am a happy camper. I'm here with Hollister, Menelik, and Tyrone. Before we get started in today's topics, I want to give Menelik the opportunity, since he wasn't here with us last week, to give his predictions on the season. Pretty much give up like a little summation of what he sees so far with the first few games of the season, and that will lead us into the rest of the conversation. Sorry, Menelik.
Right. So yeah, I know I missed last week, but I'll just kind of go through my, I guess, predictions for teams in the East and the West. And so yeah, I'll start with the West. So in the West, as far as who I think will probably make the playoffs, definitely in no particular order. But the Clippers, I think will still get in there. For sure, Lakers for sure. Um, I would say Dallas for sure. Um, Denver, Golden State, Houston, if James Harden stays on the team, Phoenix, and I think I will go between the Pelicans and the Grizzlies for the other spot. And then if Houston doesn't really get in there, well, no, sorry, Portland.
I'm
Portland.
about to say.
Portland. Yeah, Portland. Yeah, Portland for sure.
That's why
Yeah,
I made that sound because I
yeah.
didn't hear Portland.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
Portland
like,
might be in
oh,
there. I'm even looking
I
at
had
he
to
not,
think
he
about
not
it for
Golden
a
saying it.
second
Dallas.
because I was
State
thinking
getting
about. I was like,
smoked, man.
nah,
They're crazy.
Portland. Yeah, Portland again. Man.
No, I'm not. I wasn't responding like, "Oh, what's wrong with him? Why he don't got them?" I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Like just reacting.
I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's kind of almost like how like last year where there was a few teams that because they are going to do the plan type stuff. So I think the
yeah,
Pelicans between the Pelicans and Grizzlies, they might be in like a playing type situation. I think Portland might get in there like solidly, but yeah, Portland would be the other team. As far as the East, of course, Brooklyn, they making it hands down without a doubt. But yeah, outside of them, I would say also that I think Boston will get in there. Milwaukee, um, Miami, um, I think Atlanta will, with the moves they made, I think they'll squeeze in to the playoff picture in the East. Um, Philly, and I think I'll say Washington, and then I feel like maybe Orlando and sorry, Toronto. Toronto will be the other team, and I feel like Orlando might be and Charlotte will be like close to like in the playing type situation. So yeah, Toronto, Philly, Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Atlanta, and Washington, and then yeah. So I guess that's my early predictions, not based off much so far,
Okay,
but yeah, those are my order predictions.
that's cool. I mean, like we all saw, like basketball has started. It was the prediction is just a fun thing that we like to do, and just to kind of get an idea like who we believe and who we feel can make it. I mean, I thought Golden State will have like a big turnaround. Unfortunately, Clay is out. Draymond hasn't played a few games, and Golden State has been getting smacked by over like 30 the past two games that they played. They got smacked by Brooklyn first game of the season, and they got smacked by the Bucks the other day. So it's not really looking too good for them. Even like Andrew Wiggins, I thought would play a lot better. I feel that Steve Kerr is trying to have them play more like a Klay Thompson-esque role, him and Kelly Oubre, and not really utilize them to their full potential because they're not like catch and shoot guys and guys who could shoot very well like a Klay Thompson. That Andrew Wiggins is a guy who could kind of create for himself and kind of get to the to the basket and do what he had to do. But at the same time, I feel that he's still kind of lumbering around. But I'm just going to chalk all of this up to them not having a full training camp, not having to really to play out the season. They haven't played since even before the bubble because they didn't make it to the bubble. They had their own little double, as they called it, a little bit in the summertime. But they didn't really get a chance to really work with each other and play. So I'm giving a lot of the rust and a lot of the trash that I'm seeing from some of these teams and some of these players that kind of excuse. But as we all know, Brooklyn Nets are looking good. I'm really appreciative and happy about that. It's sad because I was a Brooklyn fan for a minute. I already gave the little history on this podcast before, my fandom. And a lot of my friends, they be hating because they think I'm just on Brooklyn bandwagon because of the players that are there. But when I was
No,
rocking with Brooklyn, huh? What you said? Yeah. So a lot of them just hating. I don't know if you're talking
they
right now, Tom. You're breaking up. So like a lot of them was just hating. And I've been a Brooklyn fan since KG and them got there. Even when they left, you know what I'm saying, I was still rocking with Brooklyn because I just told myself, I'm just gonna stick with this team, blah blah blah, Brooklyn, etc. etc. And when they had Kenny, I was like, I'm gonna deal with Kenny, you know what I'm saying? And then they started playing well. And I was like, all right, cool. They're doing well. They're getting better. You know what I'm saying? We just a few pieces away. And then to get that Christmas gift, if you will, of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, you know what I'm saying? Like, now the sky's the limit. I just hope that everybody stays healthy. We don't make any stupid moves to try to get like a James Harden or something like that. Because I don't really think the Brooklyn Nets need him. And at this point, the way things been going on with him, even if he was trying to play it off to get off the team, I don't want him. And I just want to continue to do their thing. And I really like what's going on. But we'll get into that later. So, Hollister, how do you feel about the game so far this season?
Oh, being a basketball fan so far, I love it. About 2, 3 games in, it's back to normal. The only thing that still sucks is no fans, but that's a work in progress. The teams, looking good. Got some teams that we all expected to, come out the gates swinging, but the teams will get it together when the time is right. When everybody come back from their little lingering injuries and things like that. Teams that we always talk about, particular Golden State, they'll be fine once Draymond at least probably gets back. He'll get the team right because we all know he's like the heart and soul of the team. He's the voice in the locker room to get everybody together. We got, excuse me, we got Brooklyn, looking good. Everybody's on the same page, playing. Everybody's understanding their roles and do what they got to do. And I'm really excited that it's back. See everybody's back, the rookies, all these guys, and see what they have.
Yeah, me too. Menelik?
Well, yeah. So I touched on some of the team situations before. Just overall, I'm happy basketball is back. I mean, it's been a lot of changes on teams this off season and stemming into the whole bubble situation. So it's definitely brings a little more excitement. I mean, I enjoyed those dynasties and stuff like that, but it was a point where it was like, all right, the Warriors definitely making it. They probably gonna win on one side, and the East. I feel like there has been certain changes that will make it interesting. The games have been, we've had some blowouts, but there's been some competitive games. Um, I'm definitely looking forward to see, some of the young guys and even like second year guys. Like, I'm definitely interested to see what Morant does this year. Regular season P, he looking like he might be motivated, after hitting the side of the backboard. So, I mean, obviously it's still a regular season. We need to see it in the playoffs because, he's had good regular seasons, but we'll see how that goes. But I mean, to Ty Lue's credit to some extent, I mean, it could be because of the comments too, where Paul George said what he said, and then Doc Rivers was like, "Well, Ty Lue was sitting right next to me," so I think Ty Lue probably was like, "Let me make more of an effort." Not saying just because of that, because he has his own style too, but let me try to use some different. I know there was reports saying that he was using them. He gonna use some triangle sets with them and do certain other things between like Kawhi and Paul George, and I feel like it has helped the Clippers. Obviously, it's just 2 games, but I feel like they looking okay, and then their additional pieces. I think getting Ibaka was like a really good look for them. I think he's playing well with them, and I think he will help their team. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, Golden State, Steph trying, but I think the guys got to get used to the system. Some of the new guys they got over it, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's just a lot of interesting stuff. Portland being more at full strength from the start of the season. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do. Pelicans, Zion, Beaston. I just hope he can stay healthy. Because we never really got to see him properly last year. So I'm looking forward to that. A lot of other things. So yeah, I'm just excited and see where it goes.
Yeah, me too. Tyrone?
It's only 2 games in, so being that it's so early in the season, it's really hard to predict anything. Guys haven't gotten their rhythm yet. The big boys haven't really stand out yet. So right now, it's kind of hard, but it's just good to have it back, of course. So it's good to see. Two first 2 games so far, you could see some teams like Brooklyn and Clippers and LA. They look like they've had the best 2 games out of any team in the league right now. Brooklyn's blown out the first 2 teams that they played. The Lakers, even though they had a loss to Clippers, they did have a big decisive win yesterday against a team that's supposed to be like a top contender in the West in Dallas. So they look pretty good doing that. They didn't look good against the Clippers, but they did look good against Dallas. And the Clippers, of course, they went in there, they beat the champion Lakers, and then they sat there and played the team that eliminated them, the Nuggets. So they look good doing that. Although Kawhi took a nasty hit,
Yeah, I heard.
hopefully
I
he's
saw
okay.
8 stitches
Yeah,
in his mouth.
Baca elbowed him, and he was like bleeding, man, like bleeding out. You thought it was a crime scene the way it looked. But yeah, so they look good there. Paul George is doing what he does in the regular season, like Malik said. So let's see if he can really become playoff P instead of just talking at all. But the first 2 games, he looked like Indiana Paul George. So we'll see, man. It's early, but from so far so good. Just happy everything's back. Nice quick turnaround for us fans. It helps. It doesn't help the players, but it helps the fans. So
Absolutely.
it's fun to see, and can't wait to the rest
Yeah.
of the season.
I agree, man. I mean, it's really fun to see. I've been excited watching these games. Obviously, I'm a Brooklyn fan, so I'm a Brooklyn bias. So, right, it was just a good thing for me to watch. And like I said, I think we're long overdue, especially being a Brooklyn Net fan for so long. It's now we have this momentum. We had 2 successful seasons where the team, without a major superstar, have made it to the playoffs and was very competitive in every facet of the game. And now that we have our 2 superstars who are relatively healthy right now and playing, I'm really excited. And I like what I see from Kevin Durant. I'm very happy for him, to take that devastating injury and to come back looking like himself for the most part and putting up them numbers is a great thing to see. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit of growing pains for him. That is a major injury, but for what he can do and the way he's still getting to the basket and doing this thing, I do feel that he's still pretty much, got it. Like you said, I'm happy watching the games. There's a few games, you know what I mean? Like there's some teams knocking off some of the rust. Some teams going to take longer to get, the flow going than others. But I like what I'm seeing, man. Like to your point with the Zion thing, I think that Zion is a good piece. I was talking with Hollister and Tyrone about this earlier. I like what I see from him. Even though they lost that game yesterday, I like the fact that he was playing like there was a part of the game when this team was just getting washed, and he just decided he's going to take it on his own and try to get them to win. And he kind of went out there. He got a few and ones, some putbacks, you know what I mean? And really try to bring down the lead. I do feel that Eric Bledsoe kind of messed that game up for them, but that's just my personal opinion. I do feel that the Golden State Warriors, they're still trying to figure it out. I guess Steve Kerr got to really, earn his stripes. I know he got a championship, coach, and what I mean, he's a good guy. But when things are flowing and you got the guys on the team and the team is like well-oiled machine, it's easy. This is where you really show your coaching acumen when you have these kind of situations like this. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. John Morant doing his thing. A lot of these other players are putting in work. I'm happy for them, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to some more games. So, yeah, But I wanted to touch base real quick. I know I mentioned this last week in the podcast when I was just referencing this. Unfortunately, we don't have them to join this conversation, but I'm still going to bring it up, and maybe one day when we do have them, we can speak on it. Like I said, Aubrey and I have conversations sometimes while we at the gym or when we coming back home from the gym. And I was saying to him, like, I feel that Brooklyn Nets got a lot of chemistry and that we should be good. You know what I'm saying? Being optimistic on the team. And he's like, well, you know, your two stars didn't even play a game yet. How you gonna say that? I'm like, look, man, Kyrie played with them for a little bit, and I said also they've been training. It's practice. There's a reason why practice is important. There's a reason why people practice. There's a reason why you have, team meetings and different things like that. And the team go away or they spend time with each other to develop chemistry. Like, for instance, when Tyrone Malik and I used to play basketball when we was kids and we used to play 3-on-3, we know how each other play. So when we used to play other people in the park, a lot of time we'll win because we knew how we played. We have that chemistry. We played many times against each other. We play many times with each other. So when you play somebody else, right, you develop that chemistry. You don't necessarily have to play NBA game. And I really do hate this notion that people have that the preseason is just like some fake. This ain't 2K. They still playing a competition. Now, they might not go, 10 tenths or 100%. But at the end of the day, they still playing live competition. You're still playing a different team. It's not like scrimmages. So for me to discredit that altogether is kind of lame. But the whole argument was that I felt that, and I said to him that the Nets players, like Hollister said earlier, they know their roles, and that's the biggest thing. To make a team a championship team, everybody have to know their role. The problem with the Clippers last year, they didn't know their role, right? So as we all could agree to that, which is why they got washed. But everybody in the Nets know their role. And I said to him, I was like, to me, I feel the Nets have better chemistry than the Lakers, even though the Lakers did win the championship. But they got rid of a lot of key pieces that was on that team that helped them win the championship, and they got 5 new players. So that was an argument. So I wanted to get you guys' opinion on that. I mean, y'all don't have to agree with me on that. I just wanted to get your opinion on what y'all believe. Do y'all feel that the Brooklyn Nets, had a better, team building atmosphere as far as having better chemistry, even though their two guys weren't, playing with them last year, or the Lakers? Emily?
All right, yeah. So yes, it's early. Yeah, preseason is not always 100%, but I agree with your take. Like from what I have seen so far, I definitely feel like the Brooklyn Nets have a certain level of chemistry. You know, yeah. So what you were speaking to before, like Durant and Kyrie both were injured and were working their way back. And from what I heard, that they definitely were working with each other in the off season and just in the after the rehabs and different things like that to help with some of the chemistry. And then also a lot of the times when teams come together or you got stars or when you see the team, you could kind of see certain like hiccups or just other things like when Miami first got together with the big 3 era or certain other things. You see certain things. Once again, I know it's still a small sample size, but with Brooklyn, especially with like the bench players and the role players they have, like LeVert, Dinwiddie, this, that, and the third, like they seem like they're able to play within the system. The offense is moving and they have chemistry. Like Hollister was saying, he said as well, like they understand their roles. Now, as far as the Lakers, I feel like one, right? You have LeBron and AD who did play like 1 or 2 preseason games and they've been playing, but they were taking it a break, obviously, because they went deep into the playoffs. And so I think between that and then a lot of the new players they added, that has shown like LeBron and AD still have their level of chemistry and some of the other players, but I feel like overall as a team, it like Brooklyn definitely seems like they have more chemistry overall. Like if you go from the first man to the last man in a rotation and just understanding the roles in their team and this, that, and the third, I think from once again small sample size, but I think it does seem like Brooklyn has better chemistry right now.
Thank you. Tyrone? Hollis, I'll let you go last.
Let's see. 2 games in, I can't really tell, but because Brooklyn has shown in these 2 games that they look like they are beyond gelling the way they've been handing out these beatings to these 2 teams. So right now it looks like that. I can't really compare a team like that whose two superstars didn't play yet. Because right now we're discussing something that was talked about before the season started. So I don't want to talk about it now, as in, because we already see two games in, and one team's 2-0 and one team's 1-1. So I'm gonna answer it as if the games didn't start yet. Um, from the Brooklyn Nets, it's hard to say that they gel. Yes, okay, I know they played a couple of preseason games, but their two superstars didn't play last year. So you really didn't know. You really don't know if the team is going to really gel the way they gelled last year. Because it's not like you're adding two bench players. You're adding the two best players on the team play with the team that is currently built. So, and one guy's ball dominant in Kyrie Irving. Now Durant, he could play different. He could play different styles. You see him with the Warriors be unselfish. You see him in OKC where he was the main offensive weapon and play with Russell Westbrook. So I can't really say Brooklyn is going to have more chemistry if the two players that are added are the two best players. With the Lakers now, their two players are already on the team and they gelled together. They added 5-6 new pieces, but and in all honesty, they actually are an upgrade. With the exception, I do think that the Marcus Gasol thing may not work out. And me being a biased Tar Heel fan, I don't think Wesley Matthews is a better upgrade than Danny Green. But Schroeder and Harrell, I think, overlaps Rondo and Dwight Howard. Now, resume-wise, we all know Rondo and Dwight Howard overall are better players throughout their career than these two guys. But as of right now, I think that's a better upgrade for the Lakers. I think that was an upgrade for the Lakers. And they seem to have gelled already, Schroeder and Harrell on a little combination, sort of like how Lou Williams and Harrell was last year with the Clippers. So I kind of think that their style fits with LeBron and AD. A guy like Harrell, you don't have to make plays for him. So that helps. Wesley Matthews is an outside shooter, sort of like Danny Green. So you kind of not really replacing. You kind of don't really have to make any adjustments there because they're kind of the same player. And Gasol might be the problem because I think he's old now. I never thought that was a good signing the way people thought it was. So I wasn't really too fond of that. Schroeder now listen, we all know how Rajon Rondo is in the playoffs. We're talking about the regular season, and right now, we know Schroeder's a better player. We know how when Rondo gets down. He gets down when it's springtime. But as of right now, that's an upgrade also. But we all know, like I just said, we all know how Rondo could be offensively and defensively in the playoffs. But that's really my thing. Like, I think that it's just the players. It's just that with Brooklyn, the players that have to come back into the fold are the two best players. So I thought that might be a little more difficult than having the Lakers bring in role players. That's why I thought that the Lakers would have a little easier time gelling than the Nets. Now, who knows? In the next 2 weeks, I might be wrong, but I'm just saying I was looking at it from before the season started. That's why I based my opinion on. That's what I based my opinion on, like before these two games even started.
I got you. Oh, you done, Hollister?
All right, so I feel like Brooklyn has the better chemistry. Not saying that because I'm a Brooklyn fan, but I believe it was during some time after the Nets got eliminated from the bubble. The players took a couple weeks off, and then just about the whole entire team flew out to LA with KD and Kyrie to start working on, start practicing, things like that. So that right there has a big advantage chemistry wise. Everybody's getting it. Like KD was slowly coming back. Kyrie, they working out together, getting everything right. And for the Lakers, like Tyrone said, I agree with Tyrone said, Schroeder and Harrell, those are the two pieces that fit in right away immediately. I know LeBron and AD, they had a long, run in the playoffs, and they had a quick turnaround. They had a quick turnaround, so they couldn't really get like the teams. How some teams always get the players together, ahead of time before the season starts to practice and work out. So I feel like the fact that they couldn't really do that since they had a quick turnaround, I feel like the Nets had a better, chemistry building since they had more time to get everything together for the before the season start.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I understand both point of view. And shout out to Lucas. God, I want to give him his credit because I mean, even though he's not here, when he was hearing the debate between Aubrey and I, he was kind of like understanding, like how you guys saying being realistic, understand where I'm coming from. It's also not just writing it off. Kelvin to a certain extent, but he kind of agreed with Aubrey and like to the points that Tyron had illustrated where the upgrades came from. My thing is this: nobody's saying that the Lakers, because the first before that, the main issue at first was the whole people knowing their role. So I told him, I was like, the way the Nets culture was built, to me personally, from watching it from the years when they weren't good to the point that they got good with Kenny Atkinson, shout out to him, was that everybody bought into doing their role. He got people like Dinwiddie and those guys to play, bigger than what they were at the time. Now, I'm not saying these guys didn't have the talent. I'm just trying to say that they got to that level. So at the end of the day, right, you have these players who already know their role per se. They know that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are better than them, and those are the stars of the team, right? There's no way that Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert believe that they're better than Kevin Durant and them. They might feel that they can play alongside them and be like their third wheel, but they know that they're not better than them, right? So I said that everybody bought in. The team is unselfish. So for me, like you said, Hollister, man, like, and you a little bit, Tyron, is that I looked at it from the perspective, even before the games were played, is that when the Celtics first got together, when KG got there and Ray Allen, what I mean? People want to talk about Rondo was there. Rondo was the young pups. They wasn't really getting that kind of burn yet, and they were there. They went away to Rome. The purpose of that was to build chemistry, for them to like be around each other, being in a foreign land, not to be able to speak the language 100%, and to bond with each other. Ubuntu, right? Brotherhood, whatever. So you look at it from the Nets perspective. They had last year, right? Even though that year feel kind of weird, like, what I mean? Because like, it went by so fast. KD, yes, was hurt, but he was there. Kyrie played 20 games, but unfortunately he got hurt as well. Because, he got hurt and he realized it wasn't going anywhere. So whatever. But to me, they always been together, right? Like Hollis has said, they met up in LA. They worked out with each other. They had scrimmages. Some of the guys all like play with each other. So to me, the nuances. Now, granted, yes, the Lakers did win a chip. They got upgrades in certain positions, but Harrell came from the Clippers. He's new. Schroeder, he said he didn't want to come off the bench anymore. He wanted to be a starter. You had Kuzma also say he don't know his role. So when I'm seeing these different things coming from La La Land, right, that already shows me that the players, at least some of your key people that you say who are important to your team, they don't know, quote unquote, their roles. Now, granted, they did look okay. They 1-1 right now. And like I said, it's going to be bumping the roads. We will see how the chemistry thing holds up with Brooklyn when they get a bad loss or certain things start to happen. But at the end of the day, to me personally, based on that stuff, not on the fact that because they're returning champs and they got AD and LeBron play with each other, the last time I checked, it took 5 people to win a game. You know what I'm saying? Even if the other cats don't contribute as much as the other main guys, you still need 5 players to play. And you have 2 new guys in your starting lineup who don't really know the floor space and don't really know your tendencies and what you like. It's going to be tough. And that's all I was saying. So to me personally, and yeah, I might be a little bit biased, I feel that Brooklyn had the better scenario. But yeah, I mean, look, we got to wait and see. But to move us along, as we saw, one game had to been postponed. It was the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, allegedly, I'm not trying to put this on James Harden, but we're going to mention this. James Harden got fined by the league because he said it wasn't a strip club, because they said it was a strip club. He said he went to a homegirl of his who became like a boss of something, who got a promotion, and he went to a private room in a party, separate entrances and everything like that. And he thought he was in compliance with the COVID stuff with the NBA. Unfortunately, he wasn't. And he got caught up there. John Wall and some other players as well on the Rockets got put in the COVID quarantine because I think for the tracing, like some other players had it, and it's already an issue, as they will say. My personal feeling with this whole situation, despite the fact I understand that your boy wants to get out of there, it's a way of handling it, and I really don't like how it's being done. So, Tyrone, what is your take on that?
Yeah, this story with Harden is is it's just getting out of hand now. You this is why I'm not a fan of social media. Why are you posting things like this? You know that this is a pandemic we're going through. I never understood the same thing with Lou Williams. Okay, you know that you're on you're a famous celebrity, under the microscope. Anybody that sees you, they're gonna take pictures of you and everything. If you're gonna take a picture or video, whatever he did, we know you weren't wearing a mask the whole time you were there. But at least put the mask on when you're taking the pictures or video, and pretend, and just take it off when you're done. Don't let these people see you don't have on a mask. It just looks bad because guess what? The entire team had to postpone the game because they didn't even have the minimum 8 players the other day to play
Yeah.
the first game of the season with the Thunder. And now tonight's game, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Gordon did not even get through the protocol, so they can't play today. But guess who's playing? Harden. I with this guy, I couldn't. I don't care if he averaged 45 points a game. I wouldn't trade. I wouldn't even trade towels for him. I wouldn't even trade equipment towels for this guy. This guy is a locker room headache, and it seems like he's been doing that for a couple years now. It ain't even just this year because look at the situation with Dwight, Chris Paul, and now with Russell Westbrook. So he's throwing balls at teammates. He's doing this. He's doing that. Listen, we know you don't want to be here. The management doesn't want you here. The management don't want to trade you. Okay, but you don't take it out on the other players. They're there to make a career. I feel bad for that rookie that happened to. He didn't. His hopes and dreams of coming into the NBA was not to get a basketball thrown at him by one of the top players in the NBA. Don't get me wrong. Now we all know history with certain top players. A lot of great players have had moments where they either bashed a rookie or something like that. But
Sean, don't get
the the
Yeah.
the day we live in now, everything is under a microscope. Everything is documented. And everything is people talk about everything now. So to do that, it just makes that kid look bad. It makes you look bad. You already look bad anyway. Teams are pulling away from making offers on this guy. So if he thinks he's gonna pout his way out of Houston, he better tone it down because I think the worse he gets, the more teams are not gonna want this guy. You're not Dennis Rodman. It's different. You're going out there partying. You're not in shape. You didn't look in shape. Kendrick Perkins even said he said he looks like me. He looked like me. So yeah, you're out there partying and everything, and you haven't earned that status you know of a champion to be able to do things like that. You haven't won anything. Who are you? Okay, yes, you won a couple scoring titles, and you're a popular player in the league. That doesn't mean we need to see you outside with every rapper doing all these club appearances. I mean, you're good, but you're not that great. You don't see you don't see a guy like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Stephen Curry doing all this stuff. You know what they got? Championships. So if you want to win, take it serious. You should take basketball serious, and stop playing around. Save the clubbing for the off season. You don't got to do it now. It's a joke with this guy. I lost a lot of respect for him. And in my honest opinion, if he doesn't go to a team like the Brooklyn Nets or Philly, you'll never see him win a championship. Not the way he is right now. And he's getting worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I heard he
And
going to the
he can't lead the team. He folds. You think Paul George is bad in the playoffs? Look at this guy's numbers. That's all I got to say with him. I'm annoyed with this guy.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about him no more.
All right, Hollister.
Yeah, I agree exactly what Tyrone said. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you're a marquee player in the NBA. You go outside, everybody going to recognize you in a second. You haven't accomplished nothing to really be like, all right, okay, I could do this or that. If you go to the club or wherever, people going to pull out their phones, start recording immediately. You can't deny that stuff. He's clearly not focused on what he should be focused on his job. All he got to do is just get in shape, do your job, and play basketball. But this is another example. You got to blame the owner. What is it, Tillman Fertitta? it's his fault because you gave this guy the keys to the whole franchise, and now that he's not getting his way, he's acting out. He's doing all this stuff on purpose, thinking he's gonna get traded to Brooklyn, Miami, Philly, or things like that. They probably gonna trade him to a team that he don't want to be on, and he got 2 years left on his contract. He's gonna have no choice but to deal with it, and he's probably gonna act out there as well too. And it seems like now a lot of people don't even want to play with him. It's
Yeah.
excuse me, it's ridiculous. Like you have a simple job. People will kill for this opportunity that you have to be in the NBA, and you taking it for granted. Like Tyrone said, you don't see LeBron, KD, Steph. They not doing none of this stupid stuff. They focus on what they got to focus on. Then they do that stuff in the off season. But he don't get it. He like these players, their mindset, they get spoiled, and this is how they act out when they don't get their way.
True. Malik?
All right, so like Town and Hollister kind of touched on. I feel it's a bad look for Harden. Look, on the one hand, right? Some people would say, "Oh, he's an adult. He could do what he want to do," right? Even if you want to say that, his job is to play for the NBA. The NBA went over the protocols in order to play this season with the players, and obviously they had to agree if they're gonna play. So to Hollister's point, like if you wanna, and I think Tom might have mentioned it somewhat too, but if you wanna, do stuff outside of the protocol, at least take the care to be like, all right, just don't brazenly, flaunt that you not following it, because now you putting the league in a bad spot where they have to discipline you, right? And it's just causing a bunch of games had to be postponed out. The players on OKC, they got to play a game another day. They got to, it's like you're upending a whole bunch of stuff. And whatever the reason, like, look, he might have really had, just wanted to support his home girl or whatever, which I could get, right? But once again, if you're gonna do something like that, sometimes if you agree to something, like if technically it's like you giving your word that you're not gonna do something, right? So then don't do it. Or if you think, like you said, he thought he was in line with whatever, you would still think you would be a little extra or more cautious not to like be taking videos or have people take videos of you, because it's going to happen, or do certain other things. So yeah, have your mask on, do other stuff to bolster your case as much as possible if you're going to choose to do some other things. And it's from a basketball sense, he's hurting. Like if he truly is doing it partially because he wants to be moved, he's hurting his trade value. Look, people already know he's disgruntled. They know he want to leave. So the Houston is already in a tough spot for that. Now, like Hollister was saying, there's gonna be players. They're gonna hear what Russ was talking about how the culture over there and how James was to some extent. So some people might hear that and be like, "Yo, I don't know if I want to play with him," right? Then you hear some of these other stories. And yeah, it's going to be where no GM is going to end up wanting you, because they're going to feel like you're going to be toxic to the culture. And to Tyrone's point, yes, he's a certified superstar in the league. He's one of the best scorers ever, hands down, one of the best players, right? But he hasn't translated that into winning. He hasn't won a championship. He doesn't have a certain level of cachet to be like where people are going to truly, truly want to look. Some people would still look past stuff because he's box office. He's going to get butts and seats when that can happen again. And he can make a small market team way better, right? In the short term, let's say. But he is hurting the value because Houston doesn't have to trade him. And it's like they're not going to trade him for pennies, So by him doing that, he's hurting his chances of really getting moved. He's hurting his perception of you around the league and with people and I just feel like it is no good is coming from it. I can understand he's frustrated. He was mad at certain other stuff, and it's a tough year, everybody going through whatever, but I just feel like, look, you did agree to this. You agreed not to go to clubs, not to do this. You got your little last shot in before the thing when you went and hung out with with Lil Baby or whatever, and you did whatever you did, right? Which is cool. All right. So they're under the understanding that okay, you agreeing to follow these rules. And I'm sure he's not going to be the only one or be the only one. But I know it's tough, but this is part of what y'all signing up for. It's like you have a certain level of responsibility because, like, in the case in the past, like, look what happened last year when Rudy Gobert didn't take it serious. Yeah, you know, we have a vaccine now and there's certain other things. So for some people, and I know he had it before, so he probably is not as worried about it, maybe. I don't know. But
I forgot about
you're
that.
still putting people at risk and stuff like that. So, it's just really just trying to, like, regardless how you feel as a person, because like I said, just to be advocate. Some people gonna be like, he a grown man, he do what he want, this, that, and the third, but he has a job and a responsibility to other people and teammates. And he agreed, from my understanding, is that in order to play this year, the players and they over as a collective agreed not to do certain things. And then you're putting the NBA in a spot where they're gonna have to, because there was talks of people saying he should have been suspended and stuff like that, but Adam Silver decided not to suspend him, just fine him. So I mean, we'll see how this plays out, man. I hope he can figure out whatever and get his head in the game in a certain space. Cause he a baller, he a hooper, and you want to see the best players perform. I mean, there's been times where disgruntled people, like Kawhi did what he did, AD to, but even when they did it, it wasn't. Granted, it wasn't a pandemic going on, but it was just a little different. And just one last point too,
Mm-hmm.
like Tom touched on it briefly, like about certain players. Like some people said, like, oh, Jordan was an a-hole and a terrible teammate at times to them, or this, that, and the third. But like, like Jordan, like, yeah, there was like off court stuff, locker room and the third, but when it came time to like be about the business, like to be there for the team, to play, to win, to compete, do all that stuff, nobody could say nothing. And then Jordan was winning championships. So, it's going to be even further overlooked. So, but yeah, that's just my.
No, I agree with all you guys' points, man. I'm just going to give my little 2 cents, nothing too crazy, but we used to say this in, like, I don't know if we said it to each other or we might have mentioned it on the podcast, but I know I've been saying this to you guys for a minute. There are certain players in the NBA that only care about accolades, individual accolades, and showing that they're nice. They don't necessarily don't get me wrong, winning a championship is like the icing on the cake, but they don't lose sleep if they don't win. You get what I'm saying? And I believe that there's players like James Harden, some other players that I feel are content with getting MVP, scoring titles, and different things like that, and feeling like later on, like, yo, man, it wasn't my fault, it was the team. And I feel that with James Harden and a lot of players too, they get to a point where they get to a point where it's like they are like, I got my stuff, I don't care. I got this money, I don't care. Like, when Michael Jordan was playing, they wasn't making this kind of bread. They wasn't getting like no $50 million a year. Michael Jordan at the tail end of his career was getting $30 million a year. And that was looked at a blonde like, yo, that was OD. You know what I'm saying? They set the standard for these guys. And a lot of these guys are just so caught up in the money and that lifestyle that they're not willing to put in the work. That's why, even though you might feel a certain kind of way about LeBron and a certain players like that, but I give him credit because he understands that, look, this is a tremendous opportunity for me. I can change not only my life, but my family and friends' lives in the community. And I want to win. I want my legacy is more than just being an MVP and be considered the chosen one. I'm chasing greatness, Michael Jordan and others before him that set those standards. And he puts the work in. Now, granted, nobody's saying that you can't go out, party, and do your different things. You can do what you have to do as long as not, messing up the team. The problem is, and I feel that is a catch-22 with this whole situation. I feel a lot of this stuff is coming out now to devalue James Harden and to devalue him to the point where opposing teams now can give up less to get him. You know what I mean? Because now you got to take the chance that, it's like negotiating on a car. You look at a car, you and the guy agree on a price on a car, and then next you look at the car, you're like, you know what, I got a little dent here, got a little scratch here. see a little bit of leaking oil in there. You try to bring down the price, and I think that's what they're trying to do with James Harden, not the Houston Rockets, but James Harden, his camp, because he realized that teams that he might want to go to, like the Brooklyn Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers. Now he said the Bucks, he said Miami, they said we good. Other things like that. They realized, like, look, I'm not trying to give up my whole future for you. And, you know, if you want to leave, you have to be so bad that they just so mad they just want to get rid of you. And I think that's what he's doing a little bit. Now, he might honestly want to go hang out with his friend and support. But like you guys said, wear your mask. You know what's going on. You got people like Karl Anthony Towns still trying to keep it together. Lost 7 family members to COVID. You know what I'm saying? And you guys are taking it very lightly. Like I said to my friend before, like people look at COVID because you don't really see it. You know what I mean? It's not like a disease like chicken pox and shingles or something like that, where you can see when somebody's infected. Like you don't know. So when people can't see it and they think it's like, oh, just a common cold, and they hear all the different things like that, they think it's just easy to deal with. And it's like, no. My freaking father-in-law has it. You know what I'm saying? And he, when I heard from him a couple of days ago, he sounded terrible. Now he getting better now, but he was sounding really bad, and it was bad. Our cousins had it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's nothing to take lightly. You know what I mean? And for him to do that just because he want to get out of Houston, it shows that he's immature. It shows that he's a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like he just be a professional. You own the team, and like you said, man, like they don't have to trade you. You could stay there. Like they could keep you for the 2 years, and that's it. And then if you don't want to play, we just fine you. You know what I'm saying? They lucky I'm not a GM, bro. I'm telling you, if I was GM in Canada, I'd like I'll pull him in office and look, here's this deal. I ain't trading you. You have 2 options. You can play and follow the rules, but anytime you mess up, I'm fining you. That's it. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. Period. I'll say to the owner, like, look, we can't have this guy holding us hostage. And that's it. And get him up out of there. Because honestly speaking, don't go to Brooklyn. I don't want Brooklyn to trade up their assets and their depth and their chemistry to get James Harden, who possibly going to be another cog to cause issues. Nah, we don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Let him stay where he at. And speaking on that note, same thing with your boy Hollister from the Washington football team. You know what I mean? Dwayne Haskins, he have strippers come to his crib, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he ain't taking this seriously. You know what I'm saying? He a quarterback. It works for him. You already know how it is for a black person to be a quarterback. They already look at us like we ain't smart enough to be a quarterback. And on top of that, he was playing like doo-doo, and then he get the opportunity now to start. You got a man with one leg who they took you and put you to 3rd string. Guy with one leg. Almost had his leg amputated from his injury. Starting over you. You have the opportunity to right the ship, and this is your 2nd offense. I didn't even know this is a 2nd offense. This is 2nd offense. Yeah. You got a head coach who just survived cancer, just finished his last chemotherapy, and you putting him at risk. The rest of your teammate, you want to have some strippers twerk in your crib? It's like, this is what I'm talking about with a lot of these young players. Like, they get this money.
But this one, he was at the club. The first time he tried to take them to his hotel room.
Yeah, but no, they said he had a private room the 2nd time too. He had no mask on.
And we one win away from clinching the division and making it to the playoffs, and you out here doing stupidness like this.
You're gonna get washed regardless, but still, man, it's just like to me, I get mad because like I'm not envious, and like you guys already know this. We all say this, and y'all can feel free to jump in and out because this could be like a free fall section. It's like, to me, it's unfortunate. Like you have these guys, and you get these tremendous opportunities. Like, look, I'm happy. I love my family. I love my lifestyle. Don't get me wrong. I wish things could be a little bit different financially in certain avenues and stuff like that. Who wouldn't want to have, millions of dollars and be able to take care of your family generationally and, help those in need and help other family members that you can. You know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't want to have that? But I want to be involved in basketball in some capacity. If I could get a job right now in the NBA with a team making about the same money I'm making now, I'll gladly quit my job and do it. You know what I'm saying? Just because I want to be around the game. I want to be around the sport. I want to, build in that environment because I love it so much. You know what I'm saying? And it's like these guys get these opportunities. They work hard, yes, but then they don't understand. It's like you have to keep working. When you get to that level, you still got to put in that work. You still got to focus. You can't just think that I'm here now, I can do whatever I want. This is not high school. You know what I'm saying? And that's what pisses me off a lot of time with these kids. And it's like, you look at these guys and you see like James Harden and he hanging out, spending all his money and hanging out with the baby and freaking no mask on and honey buns and giving another man $300,000, $100,000, whatever for his birthday, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then you sitting down in another video on Instagram, which I know he did it on purpose. You know what I mean? To do that. to me, it's like it's not that much partying that I need when I'm trying to win the championship. That's all I got to say about that, man. But yeah, man. I mean, unless you guys have something else y'all want to talk about, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I would just say one other thing, like because you made a point which about potentially other people trying to devalue James Harden, and I was like, I think that is somewhat of a good point. It's definitely somewhat possible. I think that's why he has such a strong reaction to the strip club thing, because like sometimes they do report stuff and it's like sensationalized, or it's this or it's that, or maybe he feel like people are kind of attacking him. Granted, he is putting a target on himself too by some of the things he's doing, actions. I'm not negating that, but I was just saying that was an interesting point, that there is a chance that like an opposing GM or somebody else could be like, it's him for this, that, and the third. We gonna make it where they just
give them to us for free. It's just think about it.
Considerations.
Like look what happened with AD when AD was trying to leave, right? He down with Clutch. You know what I mean? LeBron's agency. Let's be honest, half the team in the LA Lakers are from Clutch, which is like that in itself is tampering if you want to be really on tampering, but whatever. But at the end of the day, LeBron told AD when he's trying to get out his deal that mid-season, like, yo, do this, say I want to leave, say all these different things, and like don't resign. Like he said all those things to force his hand. So when he did that, he forced it in a sense to only allow the Lakers to trade for him. And that GM at the time was like, nah, I'm not doing that. Flip y'all. Yeah, he cost him his job, but at the end of the day, he already knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? And then when he was making Magic Johnson get like all these kind of ridiculous things to the point that the owner's like, well, he offered this and you kind of acting stupid. Like, nah, you got it. You dumb. All right. So you done. And we're going to pick David Griffin. And the NBA gave him a stimulus. Like, look, man, I know y'all getting rid of AD, but just let it happen. You know what I mean? We need the Lakers to be relevant. Here, we'll throw you a Zion. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to think like that. But like you said, like these players do that. Like they speak to the agent. The agent's like, look, man, you want to get out of here. It's gonna look ugly. You're gonna be in them. You're gonna be on there, but you gotta be disgruntled. You gotta do this. You gotta do that in order to force the issue, and they'll go ahead and do it. And that's just the nature of the beast. But my thing is that it comes to a level we gotta be professional. You can't hold the team hostage. And I agree with Stephen A. and Stephen Jackson on this regard. Like, yo, here it is. You got this African American coach. You got his first time being a head coach, right? You're giving him a hard time. They got to answer questions for you. The same thing people thought Kyrie would be doing and acting the fool. James Harden's out there doing it. You're giving this guy a hard time. You asked them to bring these players on. They did freaking organization, gave you the keys to the organization. You had rights to jets, the people you want to play with. Your own best friend say, yeah, I can't be here. I got to be out because he don't like your work ethic. You have to look in the mirror at one point. Like everybody's saying something about you. It comes to a point you got to look at it like, you know what? Maybe it's me. You know what I'm saying? And I think he needs to really address that. Like I said, he's a talented player. And at first, when me and Hollister were joking around before the season started, we can get Kane, we can get him. Yeah, why not? You know what I'm saying? Gotta try. And then even when Kyrie was doing this foolishness, like, oh, I'm sending out the letter and being a fool, I was like, yo, trade Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? For him. But then I realized, this is a joke. And I like what Kyrie's at right now mentally. Mentally, I feel that he has turned that corner. Like he really understands what he's doing now. It's not about the individual accolades. Yeah, he's gonna try to get his points. He's gonna still do his thing, but it's about winning. And I think once a player realizes that, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to win, that's when they get to that that level of being in a top echelon of like Hall of Fame players that did more than just score points. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. And I hope he figured it out because right now, he's hurting the team, hurting relationships with dudes. Like it's not good. It really isn't, and it's very selfish of him to do that. And I hope he grows up and figure it out. But like I said, if you guys have anything else we can talk about, we can. If not, then we can wrap it.
Yeah, I'm good as far as
Okay. I guess everybody else is good. So yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, and I know Tom probably is good as well. But yeah, man, I want to thank you guys again for listening.
Yeah, I'm good.
And I want to thank you guys again for watching. We do appreciate the support. Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. I think this is the first day of Kwanzaa. So, you guys, I really do appreciate the support. If you guys can continue, I think we're going to hear you guys next year because next weekend we're going to record. I think that'll be the new start of the new year. So looking forward to that. I pray for you guys and your families that everybody comes into the new year with, new beginnings, new purpose, new hope. Everything gets lined up for you guys. You know what I'm saying? We're fortunate to make it through this year and fortunate to have the things that we have, the people that we have, and let's not take that stuff for granted. Again, if you guys can go and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. You know what I mean? Just click like, hit subscribe, click the notification bell so you won't miss another podcast, another episode. Like we said before, many of you comment. Let us know if you wanted to talk about something else. We was talking about, fighting, some football and different things like that. I know the football season coming to an end, but there's other things we can talk about. Let us know. Really do appreciate the support. Thank Malik, Hollister, and Tyrone again for joining me this evening. And stay blessed.